Press the button.
I think one of the problems that we have in life is admitting that we are sinners, saved by grace. I think we have a problem with that simply because this is the kind of we compare ourselves to other folk. We say that I wouldn't do that. Amen. Or I haven't done that. Amen. I always like when people talk about adultery, we'll get into that. They say that that's a bad thing. It is a bad thing. I've never committed adultery. But when was the last time you looked at a female that wasn't your wife? Come on and go with me. Jesus said that if you think it, you already done it. And so we have to be careful when we judge ourselves by other folk. And let me help you, honey. Pressure will bust a pipe. Don't ever say what you're not going to do. Because under certain circumstances, if you haven't done it, you'll do it. And so we have to be careful when we sin before God. And the first thing that we ought to always do is acknowledge that we're sinners. And when we are sin, we ought to ask for that forgiveness. Amen? And so here it is that we are baptized believers. God has cleaned us up through his blood, but yet we do stuff all through the day, through the hours that we need to ask God forgiveness for. We find it easier to bless our food than ask God for forgiveness. And a closer walk with God starts with asking for forgiveness of our sin. You know, I mentioned before, if you think it, see, if you think a dirty thought about somebody, God already knows it. But we might not ever know it, but God knows it. And so what's so good about it is that we can go to God in secret and we can ask God for forgiveness. It's like one of the ministers said one time is that all of us have sinned and all of us got skeleton in our closet. But he made the point that some of them have meat on them. Did you get that? That means they were just committed. And all of us are sinners. Don't ever think that you're good enough to say, hey, I don't sin. All of us have sinned and come short of the glory of God. All of us. From the pulpit to the door. And guess what? God has created a mechanism called asking for forgiveness that will help us along the way. Because when you alienate yourself from God, you can't walk with God. Well, when you hurt your fellow man, you can't do stuff for the Lord. It's going to keep coming back. And so it is up to us to ask God for forgiveness. Let me prove it to you. Come and go with me to Psalms 51. Psalms 51. Psalms 51. David, repentant psalm. The fourth repentant psalm. There are 6. But David, Psalms 51. For our consideration this morning, we'll be looking at verses 1 through 10. Signify by saying amen when you reach the passage. All right. It's been well taught about and preached, but God put this on my heart to give it to you. And I see the song service. Sheila fell right in my wheelhouse with this. And so I got a confirmation that this is what we need for today. Have mercy upon me, O God. I'm reading from the King James. According to thy loving kindness. I want you to put a pin right here. According unto the multitude of thy tender mercies, blot out my transgressions. You see, that's plural. Wash me thoroughly from mine iniquity and cleanse me from my sin. For I acknowledge my transgressions, and my sin is ever before me. Against thee, thee only have I sinned, and done this evil in thy sight, that thou mightest be justified when thou speakest, and be clear when thou judgest. Put a pin right on number 5. Behold, I was shapen in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me. Behold, thou desirest truth in the inward parts, and in the hidden part thou shalt make me to know wisdom. Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. Make me to hear joy and gladness, that the bones which thou hast broken may rejoice. Hide thy face from my sin, and blot out all my iniquities. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. And I'd like to talk to you from this thought, a plea for forgiveness. A plea for forgiveness. A little brief history. Most of you know the history behind this song, that David is a man after God's own heart. David has been set up from the sheepfold, from tending sheep, to be king of all Israel. And yet, David is king and has access to anything that he wants. But yet David gets beside himself, and this is what idleness will do for you. When David should have been out fighting the Philistines, he sees Bathsheba on the rooftop. He should have been on the battlefield with his men and doing work, but he looks on the other side, and the grass always looks green on the other side. And when you keep looking, every now and then the weakness make you act. So he goes with Bathsheba. She conceives a son, and he has Uriah the Hittite sent to the front lines. And when he does this, what happened is the God part of David kicks in. And he can't rest because it's devil before his face. So what happens is that it pricks his heart. That's what happens to real Christians. When you do something knowing that it separates the fellowship between you and God, the only way you can correct that thing is that you got to talk to God about it. The neighbor can't help you. Grandmama can help you. You got to go to God all by yourself. And this is what David does in the 51 number of the Psalm. He says, have mercy upon me. See, I know I sinned. I know that I did wrong. I didn't have to do it. I've got all these women in the court, but just something got beside of me. And I just desired, because I was king, number one, don't let position get you in trouble. Don't let position get you in trouble. But because when you get in position and God has elevated you there, if you take your eyes off of God and start looking at self, that's when we get in trouble. We get in trouble when we start focusing on where we are and not focus on who we are. And so David is king, and God still loves him, but David messed up. And so he says, have mercy on me. Not because somebody else, but I'm going to show you something in verse 5. It says, draw a pen. Every now and then when we're explaining or talking to God, we go back to somebody else made me do it. And so we have to understand, he says, according to their loving kindness. Lord, I know you're loving enough to forgive me for what I've done. I know it. And look here, pick up on this. Sin is just sin. There is no little sin, no big sin. Sin is sin. And all sin separates us from the fellowship of Jesus Christ. And the longer we don't go to him and ask for forgiveness, forgiveness no longer been separated, Sister David. So we need to go to him immediately. David goes to the right person. He says, according to the loving kindness, I know you love me because you put me where I am. According to the multitude of thy tender mercies. You know why he said that? Because David had a multitude of sins. And he's asking God to forgive me not only for sending Hittite, Uriah the Hittite to the front line, forgive me for all the other stuff. Because guess what? I've got a whole bunch of junk in my life that I need you to take out, and one mercy ain't gonna do it. So David, from his point, he says, in the multitude of your mercies cover everything that I've done. And so we need to understand that David is on the right track. He says, and blot out my transgressions. You need to, not only do I want you to forgive me, Lord, I want you to blot them out. Have you ever done anything and you keep, you might not think about it every day, but every now and then you say, yes, he did. If you really were sincere, amen, and you went to him, amen, in sincerity of a plea, guess what? He's forgiven you and he will blot out your transgression. When we get before God, no matter what you've done, he says, I condemn them not. You know why? Because he's already paid the price. You cannot try a man twice. Hallelujah, somebody. And so God has a court system to where he says when he speaks, it's like E.F. Hutton, everybody listens. But David is going to the man who can forgive you. Now, don't be like some of these shows where they go on and they have this lady, what's her name? She's always fixing somebody. See, she needs God. She's trying to help you get yourself right. But my question is she right? See, you need to watch folk who can always fix your problem. Amen. But they don't ever want to talk about their problem. Amen. We all need God because we are sinners saved by grace. He says, not only forgive me, Lord, not only forgive me, but wash me thoroughly. Not just around the ears and the arms. And you need to wash me thoroughly. Lord, I feel like I need to go back in the water again and be dipped. Wash me thoroughly from my iniquity and cleanse me from my sin. You know what iniquity is? Iniquity is when you sit up and secretly curse folk out. Iniquity is what you do every day. Amen. Next time I see her, I'm going to tell her this all the time. That's iniquity. So he says, not only I need you to forgive me for my action sins, I need you to forgive me for my thought sins. Amen. Because my thought sins are just as bad as those that I've committed in person. For I acknowledge, here it is, for I acknowledge my transgressions and my sin is ever before me. I can't sleep. I can't eat. I can't use my heart. I feel like hiding from everybody. And see, that's what sin does, is that it causes you to hide when nobody's chasing you. Sin will make you happy. It's in the book. Look what Adam and Eve did. Here they put him in the garden. He is one of the greatest zoologists ever was. Amen. Just got through naming the animals. That's a zebra. That's a kangaroo. That's an alligator. That's an elephant. And then when he sins in the garden, he tries to hide himself. And the text says, paraphrasing, God came into the garden in the cool of the day, looking for Adam and Eve. Number one, to show you how sin can cause you to almost lose your mind, is that he takes a leaf. Now somebody said it was a fig leaf, but I don't know about all of that. But he took a leaf and tried to hide themselves. And he was hiding from God. How can you hide from God? Sin, let me show you what sin will do. And all of these young people You take notice. Sin will take you where you don't want to go. It'll take you where you don't want to go. Number two, it'll make you stay longer than you want to stay. Yeah, it will make you stay. Even all the while you know you're doing wrong. And number three, it'll cost you more than you want to pay. It'll cost you. It might cost you reputation. It could cost you your life. It could cost you a fellowship with Jesus Christ. And we need to understand that God is standing with open arms, wanting to forgive you for what you've done. But we have to understand we've got a part to play in this too. We got to acknowledge it. And we've got to go to God. And he says that I have sinned before you, and my sin is ever before me. Against thee only have I sinned, and done this evil in thy sight, thou mightest be justified when they speak. Oh yeah, he's going to be justified. Amen. He's already sent Nathan. Nathan, go to David, because he thinks he done hid in the weeds. You go over there to David and you tap him on the shoulder and tell him a little story. He says there was a man who had one little wee lamb. There was a man who had bountiful. And the man that had bountiful took this other man's one little wee lamb. Tell David he's guilty. Amen. And when David's talking, says he ought to die. Yeah, you mean to tell me he did that? And Nathan tapped him on the shoulder again and said, "You the man, though, David." Amen. And this is what prompted him to write the 51 numbers of Psalms. I condemn myself. I have to be reminded every now and then. God will remind us that we're not pure, that we've done some things that's offensive to others. And we need to thank God for looking beyond us and forgiving us and still using us. Amen. Don't think God threw David out with the bathwater. He kept David because he knew the potentiality of David. But as I was saying before, we let position and power take us to the other rim. There are a lot of congressmen who have fallen. Amen. Simply because they can't deal with big money. You pass this bill and I'm going to give you some money. There was one congressman that they called him and he said no, he didn't do it, but they found cash in the freezer. Cool cash. And God will do this sometimes, just like he did David. I'm almost through with this, like he did David. Let me show you something. You remember how grandma or your mother would do when you acted up? Especially in the Bells Line Church, I remember that. That she would give you that eye. And you would focus on them, they were focusing on you. And you knew when they met, so you would go back to chatting or doing number two and gum, and she would look up there again, give you that head back. Every once in a while, they'll do that. So if you didn't cease to desist doing it, they would say, hold on, Brother Pastor, y'all come on out of that loft. See, God will whisper in the ear, say, you know, you messed up. you need to get right. You need to get yourself together. And then he'll shout a little bit louder, I told you. You need to get yourself together. And then every once in a while, he'll just call you out. You messed up. And I'm going to let everybody know that you messed up. You remember how ashamed you was when they marched you down front? I remember Pastor Don said, Seals, Lee, all of y'all come on down. Francisco, come on, sit down front. Man, that was the most embarrassing. Everybody saw it. We had to march down front. Sit down front, we could have been up in the balcony. But you know, God is an awesome God. Don didn't stop loving us. The people at Bell Zion didn't stop loving us. But sin causes embarrassment. Amen. And guess what? You embarrass God when you're supposed to be a Christian. And you deliberately sin because of him, because of selfish things. And so we have to understand, look what sin can do. It's in the text. He couldn't hear right. He couldn't see right. Invest with his soul. He couldn't play on the harp like he wanted to. See, sin will affect the very whole of your being.
Yeah, amen.
Yeah, you think you're going to get up and sing a song and you done mess with somebody in the choir? You be missing notes and squeaking, you don't know why? God will take from you until you get things right. He says, I can't even have joy with you.
Amen.
Every time I think about what I did to Bathsheba and to Uriah, I just can't stand myself. So guess what? I know you're the only one who can clean me up. You don't have to go to anybody but the Lord.
Amen.
Because he's the one that can get you squeaky clean. We need to understand. He says, now in verse 5, you know, I've always talked about it, and I'll teach this as an element as far as how David is cunning. He's a smart man.
Yeah.
So in verse 5, he says, now, I know you are a killer. And what I've done. Because you don't tell it right. I know you don't tell it right. You just kill him. But wait a minute now, Lord. Before you kill him, he says, remember, I was shaping. I didn't put this in my DNA. Adam and Eve put this in my DNA.
Amen.
When they sinned, it came up on me, Lord. So guess what? You already know that I'm a sinner just by my very form. David is trying to get by saying, if I have to make a plea, this is what I'm going to use. Is that I didn't make myself.
Amen.
Did you miss that? David is smart, but he says, look here, behold, I was shapen in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me. She passed it on, Lord.
Amen.
So every now and then I can't help myself. Because sin is a part of my DNA. Someone, let me show you how easy this can be, Sister Jocelyn. Because I paid you with a $20 bill, and you gave me, and what cost was $10, but you gave me 18 back. Am I going to tell you you made a mistake? I'm going to put it in my pocket and walk away. That's sin. See somebody drop something, and you pick it up and keep on walking. That's sin. But see how easy it can be there? We need to understand that David has sinned. But in every baptized believer, there is that mechanism that wants to blame it on somebody else. You can take a baby and watch them spill something or tear something else and ask them, did you do that? It's in the DNA. And so we are like that too as Christians. Sometimes we want to blame somebody else. We make a bad drive. He should have been turned at the same time. He ought not be here on the road. Hey, going anyway. That's everybody's wrong. They can travel whatever they're ready. If you make a bad drive, you just made a bad drive. But we want to blame somebody else. Even when they get out when the police get there, who's in fault? They are. But what happened was a light red or green when you went through it. It was green. But when they look at the camera, it tells a different story. We all have and don't catch yourself. We all have this sinful DNA to where we mess up sometimes. But the quickest way to get the relief is go to God. Just like David did. Hey, you know, a lot of times we always be trying, who broke that lamp? Well, you know what, see, I was running, and they were chasing me, and they were trying to do, no, how did the lamp get broke? Well, you see, I was running. See, we don't want to tell the truth. We figure that God is ignorant, he's not going to figure things out, but that's what he already knows. So we need to confess our sins to the Lord. Now, I'm not making a pope, but we don't need to go in no booth and tell God about our sin. Amen. You'll get that on the way home. But the thing is that we can go to God in prayer and really ask God for forgiveness. I'm almost through with this. Behold, thou desirest truth in the inward parts, and in the hidden part thou shalt make me to know wisdom. I'm going to learn, young people, I'm going to learn from my past. I'm not going to, if I fall down, I'm not going to keep slipping and sliding. I'm going to get up, dust myself off, ask God for forgiveness, and move to the next level. I'm not, you fooled me once, shame on you. You fooled me twice, shame on me. I'm not going to let you fool me again. I'm not going down that road. So Lord, teach me wisdom so that I will not make this error again. Teach me to know thy word and thy way. Lord, teach me. David's got some good stuff here for us today. If we just follow it. He says, purge me. Now here it is. I know I messed up. I've got some stuff in me through my DNA, but purge my mind with hyssop. You know, hyssop was the same thing that they dipped in this meal when it was Passover time when we were living in Egypt. And hyssop by its nature is very bitter. We don't like bitter stuff. Purge me with hyssop. Lord, don't just use some of the sweetest stuff, but purge me with hyssop so that I will be clean. Not only on the outside, but on the inside. In the hidden part, purge me and I shall be white as snow. Lord, if you clean me up. And you know what's so good about God is that he gives us more time. He has cleaned us up more time. Amen. But I'm so glad I got a God who he's a God of second and third and 10 and 30. He has forgiven us when we ask for forgiveness. You know how when you talk to somebody bad and you can't sleep until you go to that person, then you can have fellowship with God. So we need to understand David is teaching us something here, how to make a plea for forgiveness. Everybody should know how to do that. Amen. But sometimes we're stubborn and we don't. Here it is right here. He says, make me to hear joy and gladness, that the bones which thou hast broken may rejoice. Lord, I've sinned so much and done some ugly stuff that even my bones, the marrow of my bones, carry my DNA, and sin is ever through me. I'm not going to be whole again unless you bless me, unless you clean me up. I ache. My heart aches. Not this thing that causes good, but my heart aches. I can't help me to know joy. Do you know without Jesus there is no joy? It's right here in the text. You cannot have joy without Jesus. And we need to understand that he says that you're going to make me white in the snow. What can make me whole again? Nothing but the blood of Jesus. Hide thy face from my sins, Lord. Don't even look at him. You see, this applies to Jesus on the cross, where we're going to close right here, is that he was late with our sin. Amen. And it wasn't that God did not love him, but because of sin, he couldn't look at him. He still loved him, but he couldn't look at it because of sin. So he knew that when Jesus died on the cross from saving us and salvation, that's why when Mary Magdalene came looking for him, he said, don't touch me. I haven't gone to the Father yet to be cleaned up. Every now and then, God cleans us up. And you remember the feeling that you felt in the baptism pool when you went down? Amen. You felt like you had a refreshness. You had a newness. Well, you don't have to go in the water anymore, Brother Joe. All you can do is just go to Jesus. Amen. And he can renew your spirit. And he can renew the loving kindness and the fellowship that you shared along the way. just hide you. Lord, I know that, guess what? God has put here that sin hurts the sinner. It hurts other people. Tamar, his daughter, has been bothered. Ammon has been killed. Absalom is killed by Joab. There is havoc. And this is what God tells David. I love you. I'm not going to throw you away. But there's going to be havoc in your house. The way he said is there's going to be a sword in your house. See, God lets us go through things. And sometimes we wonder, Lord, why? You need to think back in life. Because God don't have to get you. He can get one of your children and make you suffer through it. And don't question God, because we all belong to God. And we don't control anything. He controls them. Amen. And so we have to go to God and ask for forgiveness and really mean it. Then he says, of all things, when you get through clean, create in me a clean heart and renew a right spirit within me so I can do the right thing. And you know why all of this was made possible? Because out on the hill called Calvary, Jesus died while we were yet sinners. And he saved us with his amazing grace. Don't think you saved yourself. God saved you by dying on the cross. And not only, see, Jesus' greatest salvational work was not really dying on the cross. He was giving his life as the ultimate sacrifice. But when he did his greatest work was when he got up out of the grave after 3 days and declared that I am the first fruit of the grave. Death, where's your sting? Grave, where's your victory? I am the conqueror of both death and the grave. I can destroy